Okay, good evening and welcome to the July 13th Palmer Town Council meeting. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I start, I'd like to welcome our new town council members, Jan McCoy and Ryan Gauthier. Welcome to both of you. Phil is running a little bit late, but we also congratulate Phil on his reelection. We need to move the agenda around a little bit tonight, and there will be an executive session before our meeting adjourns. But first item, visitors' comments. Anyone that would like to speak? Seeing no one. Next, we have approval of meeting minutes from June 9th. So for Jan and Ryan, you guys are probably going to want to abstain. So on the...
It just says June 8th.
Yeah, is it June 8th or June 9th? Let me see.
It's June 8th.
June 8th. June 8th.
So the minutes are correct.
Okay, just the agenda is wrong. So June 8th. Any comments for the first set? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
2 abstentions, okay. Next, we have the meeting minutes of June 18th. Any discussion on these?
Nope.
So some of them do not have the amounts of what we voted, which I'd like those to be inserted. So for instance, like the revolving fund spending limits aren't listed, the wastewater treatment budget, then we did a transfer.
Free cash to stabilization.
Yeah.
Does it have a dollar amount? in
Dollar
there?
amount, yeah, so there's several of them. Duke Track, so if you could just insert all of those, that would be great. Do I have a motion to approve with those corrections?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions.
Abstain.
Next, we have the June 29th meeting minutes. Any discussion on these?
Nope.
Do you have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have the appointment of Jennifer Jerome to the Palmer Housing Authority with a term to end June 30th, 2029. Anything on this, Brad?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to approve that appointment?
Make a motion.
Motion by Jess.
Second.
Second by Matt. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Just you guys gotta talk, so we know what we're
Sorry.
doing. I'm
Either hands
assuming,
up or aye or.
yeah, I'm assuming that was, I saw yours, but I'm assuming everybody, okay. All right, we're gonna skip the next one.
Move down to E.
Right, so C and E, C and D, we are postponing until our next meeting. And next we have planning and conservation updates from our town planner and our conservation agent. Aye? Sure, you can do whatever you want.
Mind if we pull another chair up?
No, no, no. Get this one.
Oh, thank you. Maybe we'll just switch. Should we do that? Do you want us to stand?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I might sit.
We have got enough microphones over there, so.
Okay, that's it. All right, so I'm gonna go first. Hi, my name is Jessica Layden. I'm the conservation agent. And I'm Heidi Manarino, the town planner. All right, so the conservation department has a dual role. We manage, okay. Local natural resources, and we enforce state and local wetland regulations. This presentation is going to be much shorter than last year. And it's going to talk about the department's primary mission, core statutory authority, permitting and regulatory work of recent note, and some special projects, and how I support other agencies in town. Do this too. Wherever the T is. All right, so who are we? Who makes up the conservation department? It's me. I'm the one paid staff member, and then there's 7 volunteer members. At this time, we have 6, so we're looking for another volunteer member. And I support the commission in their, thoughts and ideas, and help them execute their regulatory roles. So the guiding framework of the commission is to manage the conservation land in Palmer, the natural environment, enhance quality of life of both wildlife and people that live there as well. And we're charged with ensuring the protection of the town's resources and conservation areas. And the mission of the department is to protect the wetlands and resources in the town of Palmer through acquisition, management, education, and regulations, acting as a liaison between the public and other governmental agencies in protecting our natural resources, and to become an environmental educational resource for citizens, groups, organizations, as well as local, state, and federal agencies. So within this regulatory framework, we have the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and their regulations. There's the Town of Palmer Wetland Protection Bylaw, which is Chapter 143. Collaboration between multiple town departments, and coordinating with
You can just keep going.
other state agencies. Okay.
We
we
test this
have
before, you would
this.
never know.
What did you say?
We test this before, but you would never know.
I mean, yeah. Is it any of these? I guess my role is not to provide
IT support?
IT support. I don't know. Just push everything. Okay. What do you think? Keep going. Okay.
Yep.
So applicants come to the Conservation Department for projects that require either project review, requests for determinations of applicability, notice of intent, or any other sort of any projects that would fall under our jurisdiction, or to find out if they do. That's where, like, if you're getting a building permit, you'd come for a site inspection to find out if you would fall under jurisdiction. Oops. Okay, so some recent projects of note. The healthcare center is expanding on Shearer Street, so that was something that came before the commission. And there's a picture of, in the bottom, the very bottom, and I guess just the very bottom, you can see on the right-hand side of the old building, that's where it's expanding. And so they came before the commission because there's a mapped stream in the background, and also wetlands. The water line extension is currently underway at State Street from High Street to Jim Ash Street. I'm sure people have noticed that. Gas main reliability project on Park Street and North Main Street. The sewer siphon replacement project. And then there's been a few culvert replacement projects that came before the commission for permitting work, and those were grant funded for design so far. And these culverts, the reason why they're coming before the commission is to replace them to meet stream crossing standards. So there's a picture of one of the culverts. That one I think is at is it considered Bacon Road?
Yeah.
It's the one that leads to Nanamessic. And you can see, well, it's kind of hard from the picture, but if you're there in person, it's very high from the stream. So any sort of wildlife passage, they're falling like a large distance to the water. And then other projects have included several residences, railroad vegetation management plans, and anything that would fall under conservation jurisdiction. So this past year, collaborations and community involvement have included some Blue Trail development. So the Lavalette Steps, I know we talked about that last year. They're steps, but it's really just an easier access to the river and up and down that riprap area. And water sampling for wildlife and public health. So that happens right now. So there's about 7 weeks of water sampling at 7 different sites in Palmer. And folks can go to Is It Clean, the website, to find out the results of that. It's really important. There's a town-wide cleanup that we held in the spring, the Barker Conservation Area opening event. That happened also in May. We had a pollinator garden and beautification projects where we collaborated with other town entities, such as the Walnut Street corner. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. It looks very nice. And then future conservation and sustainability efforts include maintaining and developing community connections to conservation land and our goals. So talking with the schools to figure out how to involve the curriculum in children, because obviously that is the future of Palmer, and to implement open space and recreation plan and the master plan. So as of right now, our open space and recreation plan is only conditionally approved, so we need to get that approved as well. And then the conservation department is in the same office as the building department and planning, so we're always talking and, thinking of ideas together. So, part of my job is also to provide interdepartmental support. I work closely with the planning department, the Board of Health, and the building department. So for any project that's coming before the town, whether it's a septic system or a pool or a house, the first step is to do a site plan review, so to look at the site and see if it falls under jurisdiction of the conservation department. And then recently, the Department of Public Works designated the conservation department, so that would be me, to administer and enforce the town of Palmer stormwater bylaw just for small development projects. This is less than an acre of disturbance. And then in addition to stormwater management permits, I'm also going to take on the additional role of working on the MS4 annual report. So that's due at the end of September.
All right, on to the planning department.
Before we go on to
Yeah, do you wanna-
planning, so 2 things. So the open space and recreation plan, you said that, so what's the
In
next?
2021, I guess it was submitted, and then there was so much turnover that it never met all of the criteria. So there's a couple maps missing, and so last year we asked for hours from Pioneer Valley Planning Council to complete those last tasks it was basically a couple maps, and then updating it to be a 10-year plan versus not a 7-year plan. So we're just kind of waiting, and there's been a lot of emails back and forth, and now there was a lot of emails back and forth last year, and then lately there's just been nothing. So I keep asking, and I'll keep asking, but we really do need that approved and to go for grants. We really need that.
Right, so you're waiting on Pioneer Valley Planning Commission? Okay.
I know, I just sent another email last week. So every couple months,
Yeah, we did a lot of legwork on it, so I think it's at the
It's
finish line. It's
ready.
just we need to get it
there
there.
was one more map that's, there's interesting things they asked for. Like one of them was I think it was like special, oh gosh, I forgot. It was a very specific map that they wanted. So just a matter of reaching out, maybe a phone call would.
Yeah, I'm just
worthwhile.
thinking like we don't want to waste.
Right.
Everything,
We do have
everything that
him-
was done and then have to start
No.
all over again.
So right
because
now
too much
it's
time
through
passed.
2031. So that's the time frame we have now, and it was conditionally approved, so it shouldn't hurt us when we go for grants.
Okay.
They do, like the Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs has, we have a letter from them saying we're just waiting on this last piece. So
And who's the chair now of the Conservation Commission?
Elizabeth O'Connor is the acting chair.
I just had a question about the railroad vegetation
Yeah.
management. So I think last year I'd reached out because whoever was doing the tree trimming had left some like full-size trees.
Yeah.
And it blocked access to a town-owned property. And I know that, I think based off of our last conversation, they were gonna address
Said
that
they were
in
gonna
the
pick it up.
spring, but I was just wondering if
I can reach back out with them.
Yeah.
They
I haven't looked
they
down
tend
there,
to say
but-
they're going to pick them up, and they've piled them
Yeah.
strategically, but
yeah.
you know.
I mean, when it's out of sight and it's out of
Yeah.
mind,
No, I'll
until
make it-
somebody complains.
And they're in the same spot that you've noticed before.
I haven't looked down there because it blocks access to the
Okay.
trail, so I haven't haven't gone down there to check, but I would be surprised if they were approved, honestly.
Yeah, I can ask again, just to make sure.
And then do we just want to note quickly the construction grant we just got for the construction money for the culverts?
Oh, yes, I'm gonna talk about grants at the end.
Switch.
No, that's fine. All right, on to the planning department. The planning department consists of myself, the town planner, and my administrative assistant, Max Blue. And we work with the planning board, which consists of 5 elected members, and the zoning board of appeals, which is also a 5-member board, and we oversee land use and zoning in Palmer. So just a quick overview of FY26. The planning board approved 12 SANR plans, 8 site plan approvals with 4 minor amendments to site plan approval, 11 special permits, and 8 large-scale stormwater permits. Included in these site plan approvals are also 4 earth removal permits. The Zoning Board of Appeals approved saw 3 variances, 4 findings, and 1 administrative appeal, which is much more than in the recent years. Some projects to note for FY26 includes the expansion of Palmer Healthcare Center, which Jess already touched upon a little bit. They'll have about 76 beds total with their new addition, and it lines up pretty well with some planned sewer infrastructure improvements over there. The redevelopment of the former Thorndike Grammar School, which will be converted into 14 apartment units at 4023 Main Street. Zero Chamber Road, there was a self-service storage facility approved with 10 buildings planned to be at this facility. The redevelopment of the former Bank of America to a retail liquor store at 1010 Park Street. There will be construction of a new commercial building at 1524 Park Street, which will be 5 rental units for tradesman type uses. And then the 4 existing earth removal operations were renewed for a 3-year term. Some zoning amendments and regulatory updates, some of which are on the agenda for tonight. First, we have the table of use proposed updates. So the planning department worked closely with PVPC throughout all of 2025 to try and put all of our use tables into one large table. This has been sort of an issue before because we have exclusionary zoning in Palmer, so if it's not listed on the table, it's not allowed, and there were some differences in interpretation with having separate tables. I think having one monolithic table will be a little bit more user-friendly. There will also be some clarification of uses and definitions, some new uses included as well. Then we have the ADUs, or accessory dwelling units. So an ADU is a self-contained housing unit, which could be either attached or detached from the principal dwelling. The state has allowed them by right in any zone where a single-family home is allowed, up to 900 square feet or half the size of the principal dwelling. In the proposed language put forth by the planning board, the local ADU would actually be up to 1,250 square feet rather than 900, but still limited at half the size of the principal dwelling. There's a signage update that is also in front of the council tonight. This is a small update that would allow for projecting signs in the VC zones. As you all know, there was a moratorium on battery energy storage systems. The planning board is working on some regulations for standalone systems currently. And then also with PVPC, we're working on updating subdivision rules and regulations. The last time these were updated was in 2003. Some of the appendices are still even hand-drawn, so this is in great need of an update, so really excited to be working with them on those updates. And now some grants that we've been working on currently and that we've applied for. So the design for the Thorndike Shearer Street sewer improvements, that design is now complete. This grant just ended at the end of the fiscal year. So we also submitted a grant this year for $5 million through the Mass Works program for the construction of these sewer improvements, which would also include a pump station. The PVPC DLTA grants that I just touched upon, Bacon and West Ware Road, the second phase for final design and permitting was just completed at the end of this fiscal year as well. That award was for $88,000, and so now with permits in hand, we're ready to move towards the construction phase for those projects. Recently awarded the Route 181 culvert replacement project. So this was actually a project in which I believe the Conservation Department went for several grants years ago, back around 2017, and they completed all design and permitting. And when they received the grant award for construction, due to COVID and some other factors, the cost to construct was much higher than the award amount. So that project wasn't completed at the time, but we were just awarded over $700,000 for the construction of this culvert so that it meets stream crossing standards and also reduces potential flooding impacts in that area. Closing out soon is also the wastewater treatment plant heat pump replacement project. And we are still working on the MCRT or Mass Central Rail Trail feasibility study to look at potential obstacles along our potential route for the MCRT and spurs and workarounds. We have a lot of river crossings on our route of the MCRT, so especially for the short term, I think we're potentially looking at some temporary spurs and workarounds so people can still use the trail throughout our community. And then also pending, we have the community planning grant application for form-based code zoning in the Depot Village Center. So form-based code really focuses more on the form of building and its interaction with the streets, looking more to promote mixed use and walkability. So we'd be working with a consultant to do some public outreach, some charrettes, to try and look at potentially also design review standards for our Depot Village Center. And then finally, we submitted an MVP grant to assess critical facilities in Palmer and look at areas that are potentially more vulnerable to flooding in our community. And that's it.
Questions?
Yes.
I do too. Go ahead.
I have a couple for you.
Okay.
So you just mentioned in your last sentence about potential flooding areas in town. Doesn't the hazard mitigation plan that we put together identify all of those areas already?
So when we were looking into our hazard mitigation plan, the most recent version I had found was 2016. So I don't know.
That was just, that's way, yeah, we definitely have a newer version.
There's a newer version than 10
yeah.
years, for sure.
Okay. Did this focus on like culverts and like stormwater sort of flooding and things like
More
that?
like I think it's drafted by the chief, fire chief, the emergency manager. Well, it just so happens that the chief is also our emergency management director. So he put it together, and I think he does.
It was when Ryan was here.
Yeah.
So it wasn't 10.
It wasn't that long ago.
No.
Yeah.
But yes,
Chief Burnett was the one that signed off on it,
identifies like lots of different issues. So it identifies if there are,
1,000-year.
commercial properties in
Right.
town that maybe have, like if they caught on fire and there's hazardous materials in them, so that we know what those are. And then it also, like Matt just said, it should be identifying flood, areas that could flood or other things that could happen businesses that are sitting in a flood zone, so that we can identify whether it's a 50 or 100-year flood. So yeah, we definitely did that.
I'm gonna forward it to you.
I was gonna
It
say,
was,
Appreciate
we all should have it too.
yeah, looks like the council may have approved it.
We did, definitely approved
Definitely
it.
did.
know
I don't know
that.
if it was at this meeting, but it was proposed to us in April of 23. So
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
wow.
so we'll get you
Gotcha.
that one, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then the other question I had is, you mentioned Depot Village
Yes.
for improvements for facades and stuff like that, right?
For form-based code, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But why just Depot Village and not the other villages?
It comes down to cost, just because the maximum award for a lot of planning grants is 150,000, say, and that was sort of on the low end for a consultant that works primarily with form-based code. So while we can start by implementing it in one place, we can also use kind of what we learned from that to implement it into the other village centers, certainly. But because I'm not super familiar, or I've never implemented form-based code myself, was why we wanted to go for a grant and bring in a professional consultant to make sure that, you know, we're not adopting anything that could potentially be problematic. And then once kind of we learn from that, then hopefully we can sort of spread the wealth to the other village centers.
I was just curious why you only singled out one, that's all.
Well, that and when we did not get the grant yet. If we get the grant, we also could ask for a quote to incorporate everyone and then come back to us, because I believe there's a small match that the town had to contribute on this anyway, that if we need that, let's say it's another 10 grand, it might be worth bringing it back to the council to discuss if we want to extend that.
Sure.
So more to come on that. But
Awesome. That's all I have.
Dennis, did you want to add something about the,
Yeah, I think the MVP grant piggyback on the hazard mitigation fund, right, to actually address those things that are in that. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
having that new plan will go hand in hand with that application.
Yeah, and I'll definitely review the hazard mitigation plan and make sure that there's not any sort of redundancy happening there, for sure. Thank you for mentioning that.
so just I had a couple questions. So 1524 Park, is that owned by Northern Construction?
Yes.
So so what did you say was going there?
So it's going to be 5 rentable units for, the use is tradesmen with on-site customers and employees. So they sort of wanted to leave it vague because they don't know who exactly is going to rent space there at this point.
Gotcha, okay. And then for the battery energy storage systems, is there a deadline this fall to have an ordinance in place?
There's no deadline for the standalone battery energy storage, but there is for the new expedited permitting for the clean energy siting. So that's something we definitely have in the back of our minds while we're making sure that we adopt this, because, I mean, the interest in standalone battery energy storage has already increased a lot, but once that's fully in effect, we anticipate a lot of calls.
But then if we don't have an ordinance in place, it reverts to the state, correct? The state regulations?
Yes, yeah.
So what's our timeline for trying to get, I mean, we have a moratorium.
Yes, we are working on it right now. I have draft language. There are just a few things that the planning board is working through with how they want to regulate it that I'm putting towards legal counsel for their opinion on.
Okay. And then the Thorndike Street, the siphon project, so you said that which we know, we got the grant for the design.
correct.
Where are we in that scope of work? And then how soon will we be able to apply for additional money?
So we applied for additional money. The estimate, I think, was between 7 and 8 million, correct, Heidi? Of the cap we felt for the grant request was the 5 million. So if we get awarded the 5 million, I think we'll know in October, I think was their
Okay.
deadline.
Okay.
We'll know if we're gonna move forward or not, if we get the grant and in full. They may come back and say, we only give you 3 million. They may come back and say, we give you the full 5, or they may tell us that they denied us again.
Okay,
Given where we were, again, we got really good reviews last time. They also felt like a diff district was a game changer for us, so we're hopeful that that'll now push us and get us the grant money.
okay, great. And then, so the culvert project on 181, what part of 181 is that culvert?
So,
Right where it comes together, basically.
do you know where Prospect Street is? Kind of by the lily pond over there. I
If you're
used to
coming
live
from
on
Okay.
Prospect
Thorndike,
Street, which is why I was.
It's
the
like basically
connection point.
right at that split,
Yes.
right beyond the split.
Yep.
Okay,
And there's a big wetland area. It's actually a cold water fishery. Apparently, the person who lives there does see brook trout in there as well, which is what made it sort of a competitive grant, is because it is a significant cold water resource there.
okay, interesting.
We've been doing temp work.
Yeah, there was an
Along the way,
emergency repair that happened last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
There's just lots of places where 181 is, so I wasn't
Yes.
sure where.
yeah.
Right, so that's like the
Yeah.
Duncan Bondsville,
Yeah.
so it's like right here.
Okay, great. And then last comment for something that you said regarding design review standards. So design review is something that, you know, I've been interested in pushing forward for a lot of years, sitting on this council. And it seems to never move forward. And so, you know, we have businesses building, things coming in, renovations happening, and we have no standard of like what makes Palmer unique. And so that we have this design element, and even with signage. So what do we have to do to get there, I guess is my question.
So I would say even if we don't get the grant for form-based code, design review standards are certainly something that we can adopt regardless. And then at that point, we'd need a design review board as well. But there are plenty of other communities that have design review standards that we could look at and tailor to our own community. I'm really hoping that we do get this grant because the consultant that we want to work with does some really amazing stuff with visioning to try and, you know, figure out what exactly we want to be highlighted or to be kind of memorialized in these design review standards. But that's certainly something we can pursue regardless.
So Brad, would that be you bringing forward to move forward with that, or is that a planning board thing to move forward?
It's a joint.
Okay, so I guess, I mean, I really think that that's something that we should
Yeah.
look at doing, like we've been talking about it forever, and,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we literally just had, you know, I mean, the expansion on Thorndike Street, it would have been great if there was like similar design elements instead of just, you know, whatever the business is that comes forward and that's the design, and that doesn't have to be the way. We could monitor and.
It's better than what was
and
there.
do it. It doesn't matter though, it's just the idea that, you know, I mean, we can definitely.
And there's still like three businesses that could go in there, so there's opportunity to help
Right.
influence some of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, did anybody else have questions?
One more for you. Now that I had to think and you're here in front of us, data centers has been in the news in a lot of other communities around us. What are we doing to be one step ahead when a company approaches Palmer?
So we do have exclusionary zoning in Palmer, so it's not explicitly allowed on our table of use. So my interpretation of that would be unless the town puts that as an allowable use on our table, that it would be prohibited because it's exclusionary.
So
zoning.
chances are nobody's going to approach Palmer because it's not on the books as being allowed use at all in town.
I mean, they may try to approach us, but I
Yeah.
think that's, you know,
It'd be kind of an easy like stop.
exactly. And it's not a protected use like battery energy storage system, so we don't hit that same issue.
But is it something though that we want to see in Palmer in the future? No, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I'm
Me
all for
anyways.
business. I'm
Me
just
anyways, yeah, no, I don't think, AI number one, in my opinion, is evil.
What,
Fake intelligence, artificial. It's taking too much control over people's lives.
so aside from that, what would the benefits be, Matt?
just taxes coming into the town.
Yeah, ruin your
Right.
water
Well,
sources, extra use of electricity that everybody cries
Yeah,
that
you gotta
we
change your
way too much
infrastructure,
electricity.
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
never needed it, don't see the need of it.
Would it be worth it if the price was right?
If you what?
If the price was right, would it?
Everything's worth reviewing. I personally feel like we need a couple
Throw it
more
out there.
years. Let
Yeah.
it figure itself out, right? It's still in the early stages, and then once it's figured out somewhere else, not on our backyard, then we can come to the table, I think, and have that conversation. But as Heidi mentioned, right now it's not even allowable use.
Perfect.
So that's
No, just
right.
curious on where we stood. That's all.
Just looking for revenue everywhere. right?
Hey,
But,
taxes are high. Everybody
Just
wants
sell my
taxes
soul
come
for
down.
revenue.
No, I think it's the what really is the big negative on it is the infrastructure cost for the power to get there, and that's where I think the
And the
utility
usage of
companies-
water. to
Yeah,
run
it's a
them.
lot. Yeah, but that was I
ruining
think
your resources. So what's the price you want to put on ruining your resources? I mean, you know,
I'm with you. But if give it a couple years, then maybe it'll early stages. Early stages.
Anybody else have any questions?
Nope.
So don't go anywhere, because we're gonna go to your next part as soon as I get there. Okay. So we have a few amendments to the zoning ordinances. So the first is 2027-01. section, or chapter 171-5, table of use regulations, first read. So the purpose of this amendment is to include previously, is this the right one?
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Undefined and new uses within the definition sections of the ordinance, and to amend and reconfigure 6 articles of chapter 171, articles 7 through 12, so as to compile all use regulations for the residential, commercial, industrial, and village center zoning districts into a single unified table. The amendment further serves to clarify certain existing uses to ensure that the town's land use controls continue to meet their intended purposes. The amendment does not alter any district boundaries or dimensional requirements. You want to say anything about that?
There's quite a lot in there with the amendments, so I guess I'll just kind of reiterate what I had said before. You know, there's some outdated language. There were some redundant uses as well that actually even had differing requirements for what permits were needed. So I think that this really cleans up the tables and makes it more user-friendly by compiling them into one clear table.
Any questions on that one? Okay. The next one is Town Ordinance 2027-02, which amends the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Palmer, Chapter 171, Section 5 and 89, relating the accessory dwelling units, ADUs. The purpose of this amendment is to update the town's zoning regulations to comply with recent changes to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, regarding the accessory dwelling units. The amendment establishes new definitions, creates standards for both protected use and local ADUs, and sets forth dimensional parking, permitting, and occupancy requirements. It also replaces the town's existing ADU regulations with updated language intended to increase housing opportunities while maintaining compatibility with existing residential neighborhoods. Okay. Anything on that?
That was a good summary.
I don't know who summarized these,
Say
but thank you to whoever did, because that's great. Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. The next one is first read for amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Palmer, Chapter 171, Article 17, Chapter 171-94, signs. The purpose of this amendment is to establish regulations for blade signs within the village center B districts. Blade signs are defined as small two-sided signs that protect perpendicular to the building and are intended to enhance business visibility for pedestrians. The amendment sets standards governing the number, size, location, height, projection, and illumination of blade signs, while also clarifying that these standards may not be modified through the special permit process. Anything on that? Good. Questions on that one? So are these the ones that a couple of businesses on Main Street and then Central Street, well, two
Yes.
businesses, one on each, were asking for, and so they're not allowed, or they're only allowed in
So,
some areas?
If they're pre-existing, they're allowed to be refaced, but you can't change the size of them if they're pre-existing non-conforming. But any new projecting sign, just how the ordinance is written, wouldn't be allowed, because currently, even in the VCs, you're only allowed one main frontage sign on your main wall. So if you have a sign that's like this, you can't have a projecting sign for people walking or driving by. So one of the applications was for refacing an existing or pre-existing non-conforming projecting sign. The other one was for a new projecting sign. However, I do believe that it enhances the character of the village centers, and the planning board agrees, and it does help with really visibility for businesses. So that's why this amendment was put forward.
Okay, perfect.
So why can you have one and not the other? What's the purpose behind
it's
restricting or having a certain size and pretty much telling the people what they can and can't do?
I suppose it's like many zoning regulations where it comes down to, how it impacts neighboring abutters. So like illumination of a sign, you know, the light could bother someone on an abutting property,
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
size could be considered an eyesore. So that's really why we have those dimensional regulations. And then the pre-existing non-conforming sign being allowed is really sort of a zoning thing. If it's been in existence for long enough and never been enforced, or if it predates zoning entirely, then it's allowed to continue to exist unless it's taken down.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Tell Jess thank you also.
Will do.
Scoot it out. Okay, so what I would like to do now is go back to the executive session, if that makes sense. So we are going to enter executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body for 1307 Park Street. I so declare. We will go into executive session, and then we will adjourn from executive session back into open session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Jess, second by Matt. Roll call vote. Jan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Phil? Ryan?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Jess?
Yep.
And I vote yes. Okay. We are adjourned from open session temporarily. Okay, we are back from executive session, and the next item on the agenda is Resolution 2027-01. And I will read the purpose and the motion, and then we'll go on from that. So the purpose of this resolution is the town council votes to take 1307 Park Street, parcel ID 56-93 by eminent domain, and appropriate funds from the capital stabilization for said taking. I'll move that the council vote to appropriate from capital stabilization the sum of $1,275,000 for the purpose of acquiring by gift, purchase, or taking by eminent domain for municipal facilities purposes the real property located at 1307 Park Street, identified as assessor's parcel 56-93, and described in a deed recorded at the Hampden County Registry of Deeds in Book 21181, page 229, to be held in the care, custody, and control of the town manager, and further to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement for the acquisition of said real property under such terms and conditions as the town manager determines to be in the town's best interests, and further to adopt the order of taking for said real property dated July 13th, in the form presented at this meeting, and further to award damages for said order of taking in the amount of $1,275,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jess. Discussion. Brad, do you want to, anything you want to say on this?
No, this will be our future DPW complex. I know it's been a long time coming for the town of Palmer. I believe the flood happened in '08 or 2011, one of those two. Maybe I'm in the ballpark there. 05, close enough. And this has been a long-standing capital need for the town. And if you were to look at what the going rate is for a complete new build, this is pennies on the dollar. And I think it's a win for the town. And the best part about this is we're approving capital stabilization, so there's no request for an override, no request for debt exclusion. It's a real win for the taxpayers and for the community here in Palmer.
We didn't vote yet, did we? Did we vote?
We have a motion and a second.
Thank you, that's what I thought. Okay. Anything, anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Next item is introducing the new website, Ashley Place. Ashley.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks, Dennis. Thank you. Have a good night.
So, since I've joined our team back in October, there's been conversations about communications and how we can better inform our residents and keep them informed of what's going on from our side of the world. I've met with department heads and I've spoken with some other stakeholders, and we went ahead and built our new website. There was a couple of hiccups with the launch, as most technology occurs. So the website softly launched around the 4th of July holiday, right with the fiscal year. I asked the patience and encouragement from the community to help us with this as we finish the process. Because our website hadn't been updated, over 10 years. There was a lot of data on the back end and documents that, quite frankly, we don't need to be hosting anymore. So everything on this website was uploaded by hand. Every text, character, every document. So you'll notice right now that there's some documents that aren't quite there to reflect on, but please note that that will be finalized and everything will be where it needs to be before September. So just to orient everybody on the new site, I'm just going to highlight some key features. You'll notice the hierarchy for these 3 tabs. We have government, which has information about our local government, our structure. We have the departments for town manager, our town clerk, and our boards and committees, including town council. Our departments, we also have a new municipal buildings directory, so you can click this and contact anybody that you wish. I also have a printable option down here as well, which is the same as what our annual report had. This past fiscal year 26 report. Everything is housed in sort of clusters for community, for ease of access. Over here in community, this will be building as we go, but you can report a concern or problem with the form like that always has existed. I'm working with our Health and Human Services team to build out a community resource guide. We have our latest news section, our emergency notifications, our town manager newsletter, all things that have been existing thus far, just in an easy to find place. Our community events calendar I'm excited for because there's so many things going on, especially with our different subgroups in town, so it's nice to have things in one place. We also have our regional services, such as our animal control, emergency services. This is where you'll find your fodder and water district. I was hoping that it will help with our FAQs about fire and water if we put this information under community as opposed to having it with departments, which is on the previous site that just phased out it was all listed under departments. So I thought that was in helping our conversations of ownership there. I have police in both places, just for ease of access. And then we'll be working with the planning department to build out this business opportunities here. Also coming that I'm very excited is behind the scenes. I'm working with our planning and building, conservation, health department, all of those groups that you might need to find forms and permits and applications. We're going to have a nice checklist and make things really easy to follow for that. Going back to our home screen, we have these 5 buttons. I think there's actually 6. It's just on this laptop, it's different because of the sizes. But any additional buttons, you would have to hit this arrow button. But for example, on my device, personally, all of the buttons are there without this scroll. Again, just for the community, pay attention to these latest notices. This is where you'll find immediate information, such as when our offices were closed for the 4th. When we had the heat wave, we had some information about cooling centers here. Here you'll find all of our meetings that are upcoming with the calendar. And again, on most devices, these 3 items are stagnant and you don't have to scroll. I anticipate us filtering these out quarterly. Right now you'll see it's more of a summary feel. Lastly, all the way on the bottom, you'll find our accessibility statement, which is imperative for communities right now as we have compliance that we have to follow. And we have this little button here to contact our webmaster if there's information that you think you want to see or not see. And again, there's just a disclaimer because I've seen some already. Please don't solicit your service to our webmaster and don't use this form to report emergencies. Those standard things, just use it to give us feedback on our site itself for this. And our hours are on the right.
It looks great. I think it looks really nice
Yeah, good
and
job.
modern,
Good
and
job.
yeah, I know it was a lot of work, but it looks really good.
Thank you.
One
I'll
thing-
vote for you at MMA.
Thank you.
One thing, Ashley, so I noticed a lot of people ask things like this week you did put on Facebook about that there was no recycling this weekend, but that seems to be like a common question of people like when there's a holiday or when it snows or it rains really bad and we have to cancel. So where can people go? Is it the latest notices is where you're going to post that type of thing?
I would say yes.
Okay. And then same, like the leaf pit area, like when that's open, those tend to be the things where people struggle to find those dates if things are opened or not open. So if we could just kind of maybe a post even
Yep.
on Facebook where people are looking to show or to tell people where they can find that information.
Absolutely.
But also, I think always just knowing too that not everybody's on Facebook.
Exactly.
So, if we can know where they can get the information, then we can also let people know when they're asking us.
Absolutely. And just for the public, I just want to note that even if you don't have a Facebook account, you could still see our information because we are a public page. So just keep that in mind too.
So on the calendar, I know you mentioned a separate one as we've got the upcoming meetings and you were talking about the events you're excited about. Are they all going to be on the same calendar?
They are 2 separate ones. So the meeting calendar is specifically for boards, committee, commissions.
So I was just thinking to make it easier on everyone, is it possible, like on that first page, whatever it directs them to in their Google search, when you see a calendar and it's got the meetings, local events, the recycling, right there, they can just look and say, this is what's happening in Palmer this month.
Absolutely. So when you click on the meetings calendar, it does orient you to find community events here.
Okay. And that includes trash and the recycling.
So the recycling calendar we have not built out yet, but that's a
Okay.
good idea to add that. I'll make that note. Right now, the community events is more entertainment, I would say, recreational activities. For example, the Three Rivers Chamber event this past Friday, the summer movie series. Also, our library has such a robust calendar, and their senior center as well, that right now I'm not aware of a way to orient their calendars without having to manually upload each thing, which, quite frankly, nobody has time for.
Right.
So I do have those links there. So unfortunately, there's not an opportunity to have one complete, robust calendar. But that's definitely something to work toward.
Yeah, we had hoped to move that over to the recreation department. That'd be our one size fits all. They would input all this, but given where we are right now, we don't have a recreation director, and there's still a study to be determined if we work with Munson on that. But that was the original thought. But the reality is, there's so many different departments that have all these activities that run their own calendar. You really need like a master events calendar and someone to manage that. That we just don't have that person right now.
Or maybe one of the tabs is like all calendars, and you go to that and you have your choice, so people know, like, okay, I can find any calendar I want. on
We
this
have that
one.
now, right? Actually, you could click on the library, you can click on the Council on Aging,
Yes.
but it would be nice to have one size fits all where you could filter it. Like you could say, here's my master calendar. I want to see just Council on Aging, and you can do the drop down. But we're not there yet, and
Yeah.
we don't have a plan in place to put that in right now.
And frankly, this website's not built for that.
Okay.
On the back end, so to speak, this meetings calendar specifically has what they call widgets on the back end for you to post the meetings and agendas nicely. So there's just some things on the back end that prohibit it from being one calendar, respectfully.
So does this current website allow you to subscribe to, so for instance, if you post something on news, you could get an email back saying the town just posted something, or if you want to subscribe to meeting minutes, when meeting minutes are posted, you get a note saying. and then you-
Yes, like every other calendar in the history of the universe.
So, but we need to market that, right? So it doesn't.
Unfortunately, I have not gotten a set answer from this software company for that.
Okay,
I am trying to find a way to make that happen.
okay. Is this Civic?
No,
Oh, what is it?
it's Catalyst.
Okay.
There have been quite a few obstacles with this company, and we've been working through it
Okay.
as much as we can. But yes, I have asked them a question about that option.
Notifications when something hits that's new, that someone might have an interest in if they've signed up for that
Yes.
particular.
So I know that they have an add-on cost for the meeting specifically. We had spoken about it when I had been first researching this option, and those are like the push notifications. But there should be that subscribe button that you would be familiar with seeing on the Civic Plus websites, that RSS, and that's the clarifying question that I have not gotten a set answer from.
Yeah, well, great job. It's 100% more than that. Better than what we had, so.
Thank you. It's definitely a lot of time and a lot of thought
It's a
that put out of it.
labor.
It is, yeah, it is. And in 5 years, we'll do it all again, so.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to say on that?
No, just feel free to ask us any questions. And again, I appreciate everyone's patience as we continue building this out to its fullest extent.
Thank you. Okay, so next on the agenda, so every year, one of the things that the council does is a review of the council rules. And so all of you should have had in your packet a copy of the current rules, which were updated in November of 2025. And those were, the updates had to do with some changes in open meeting law. And public comment period of the meeting. So, if you guys all want to read this, go through it. I think it's in pretty good shape at this point in time, but if anybody sees anything that they feel should be updated, we'll have this as an agenda item on our next meeting. And we'll either discuss changes, and if there's none, then we will just move on and keep the same format that we currently have. Any questions on that? Okay. Next, another yearly in July, as we reorganize and have new members, we look at town council subcommittees. So in your packet, you have the current subcommittees that we currently have. So the town manager goals committee, is a committee that puts together exactly what it says, the goals for the town manager. We, last year, had given him some robust goals. A lot of them were multi-year goals. I think that, those will have to be looked at, but most of them will probably remain similar for another year, but that's one of the committees. The Ordinance Review Committee is any time that there are ordinances being brought forward to us. So these are not necessarily ordinances that come from the planning board, because they're the ones that are reviewing this. These are more like general ordinances of the town. So there was just a different ordinance review that was required under the charter, and there was a group of individuals that went through those ordinances, and it's the expectation that, well, let me back up. Those the work of the Ordinance Review Committee was submitted and passed along to the Ordinance Review Council Subcommittee. And so there is an expectation that this committee will be very busy in the upcoming year, going through all the recommendations that the Ordinance Review Charter Review Committee did. So this is another committee. The Budget Subcommittee, we have a subcommittee that reviews the entire budget. So this committee just finished its work because we just adopted the budget at the end of June. So the council the council gets the full budget. The council then reviews any questions that they have, refers them to the subcommittee. And then the subcommittee meets with departments as necessary, the town manager, Ashley is involved in this, and our town accountant. And then we come forward with the overall budget recommendation to the full council. There's also an economic development liaisons, which they work with the planning board. So Matt's on this committee. It's not really a subcommittee, but it's information flows. So information flows from the planning board to the council. And so the individuals on this committee kind of, provide information and updates to us as a full council on the information that they receive from the planning board. And then if they want to attend any meetings of the planning board or any other land use board, they can do so. School committee liaisons, so we have two. We have one for Palmer Public Schools, and we have one for Pathfinder. And so those two subcommittees or liaison positions, you make of them what you choose to in those positions. So if you felt that you should go to school committee meetings, you can go to school committee meetings. If there was something that we had a question and wanted to interact with school committee members, you could be the person that does that. There's nothing that really precludes anybody from being a part of anything, because all these meetings, when we have an ordinance review or goals, they all need to be posted. The issue becomes when there's more than 3 of us, we don't want to give the impression that at subcommittee meetings, we're making decisions for the majority of the council, which is 4. So that's why there's 3 individuals. And then we have I leave this on here so that we don't lose sight of it. The council has a seat on the PBTA advisory board. And in the past several years, Ben Hood has been willing to serve. I have not reached out to Ben at this point in time. I will do so. I usually do it as we go through this process, unless there was a member. But that is, I believe those meetings are usually during the day, unfortunately, when most of us are working. So, but if no one's interested in that role, Ben's been doing a great job for us. So for what you can do is email me between now and the next meeting and let me know what subcommittees that you are interested in, and I will do my best to put you on that subcommittee. And any questions on that? Okay. All right, next agenda item is subcommittee reports, which I don't believe there are any. Okay, town manager's report.
I want to thank Keith Davies, and Jim Legacy for their help in running the Learn to Paddle, Learn to Swim fish clinic we had at Forest Lake on June 27th. We had about 20 to 25 citizens from all ages and from multiple communities take part in the event. This is something that was a really great exercise. I stopped over there for actually from 10, I think I was there all the way to 1 or 1:30. It was just fun. Everyone was catching fish. It was a great turnout, beautiful day. It's actually something I'm hopeful we can possibly look at working with the school department to build in their curriculum, because to have it community-wide in only 2025, I know I definitely want more, but there's got to be a way that if we can integrate this in the curriculum and we can bus kids to Forest Lake, they can spend a half a day there, 2 hours there with the program and the Learn to Fish group. So I think it's a win-win for everyone, because not everyone has the ability to get out and fish, and I think it's a win-win. The splash pad, just a reminder, in Bondsville is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. I have a scheduled meeting with the consultant in regards to the complete and shared streets engineering tomorrow to finalize a game plan and move forward with the construction bid. We've been talking about this now, I think, for 2.5 years. It has not moved forward. There's a lot of pieces with the money component. We have to value engineer a few of the original street crossings we had put on. But reality is we need to come up with a final game plan and move forward to get some of this stuff done. We can't be going on 3+ years of discussion on this topic and the money sitting there. So more to come on that, but the goal would be to get construction started by the end of this year. But there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and I really feel like it'll probably be, unfortunately, into the spring when we're actually doing construction, because all the construction companies right now have their bids already lined out for the rest of the year. But the big piece on this, and really why it's stalled, to be honest, is, remember, we're trying to build in a sidewalk across Big Y. So right now that was not part of the original plan. So if you were to walk on Shear Street, there was a crossover, but on the corner of Shear on Thorndike all the way down to McDonald's, there's no existing sidewalk. We have to go through the deeds and actually take possession or have an easement to access to put a sidewalk in there. So that's really what's delayed this. But I really think that's a valuable investment for the community, because it connects. It's the missing piece, the missing link we have to connect really all of our villages, and it's not safe really for anyone to walk on that Thorndike Street. So more to come on that. I am meeting with a consultant as well for tomorrow. This has been on my to-do list since I started for a Burley Park master plan. So I have a proposal in hand. I need to do more assessment with them to make sure it's capturing all of our needs. But that is finally something that we're going to be ready to move forward on. Again, as everyone knows what Burley Park used to be, I really think it's the hub and can be the center of our community for youth sports and recreation. And I'm excited to actually, again, as Barbara mentioned, I think in my goals, this is something that I have been putting on the back burner for a long time now, but it's time to move forward on it. Pioneer Valley Planning Commission has started its work on reviewing the potential shared services models for the town of Palmer and Munson for both recreation and council on aging. They have met in person with a few of our recreation folks. They're meeting tomorrow with council on aging. So I'll keep you guys in the loop of how that moves forward. Upcoming events, we have the Summer Movies in the Parks continues with Hamilton on July 17th at Endelson Park. K-Pop Demon Hunters is on August 7th at Old Mill Pond. National Night Out is here at Town Hall on August 4th. And Lemonade Day right now is scheduled for Saturday, August 22nd. And that is all I had. We have open boards and committees. You can find those seats that are available on our agenda. That was all I had.
Any questions for Brad?
You touched on you just brought it to my mind, the sidewalk thing down there, High Street.
High Street has been a battle with National Grid. You're talking about
that
the
one.
pole. You're talking about
I
the
just
pole.
don't understand, and I don't.
You're talking about the
What's
one.
this excuse? That thing has been 3 months or better, where the cement has just been there, and we're going around town supposedly fixing all our handicap crossings and this and that, and I won't even get into the point that half your telephone poles are in the middle of your sidewalks in
They are.
town.
It's true.
Okay, right on here, but all the old concrete is just still there.
I was gonna say,
and
at
they
least take
figure
it.
a cone is the fix issue. Whether it's, in my opinion, they're not putting a new pole in there, right? The pole's good, correct?
I did not
As far as
confirm.
I
I did
see,
not
there's,
confirm the
there's-
pool.
I don't see nothing wrong with the pole. So, unless you can correct me and there's something wrong with the pole and they're putting a new pole in there, that concrete, if nothing else, should have been gone. And if you're waiting for
National Grid.
National Grid to give you money to fix it, what? I
They're-
don't
they're supposed to
understand.
do
I
the
mean, I'll
work.
give you the $20 for 2 bags of cement to fix the sidewalk. I mean,
I
it's
agree.
bull.
I don't disagree with you, Phil, but the reality is National Grid owns the work. That's not to say the town can't say to them, hey, we're going to go fix this. You need to pay us back. But they've been leading us along the way saying they're going to fix it. What I believe the
Well,
holdup
obviously
is,
they're not.
they're chasing the insurance company of the person who hit the pole. I think that's the holdup. They're trying to make sure that they can claim it through insurance and they get the back payment.
And you know what? To me, that's, again, for lack of better words, bullshit. The money that they get from the state and the government, if they can't swallow fixing that sidewalk, cut it out. So, you know, it's bull. I'll give you $30 right now. Go buy the bags of cement and fix the thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I think the real safety issue is that concrete that is still there
just sitting there
because it's
for months.
such a dangerous
You
corner.
know, say take pride in your town and this and that, yet nobody's picked it up.
And I
They drive by it every day. If I had a dump truck or a truck enough to throw it in, it would have been gone. I'd have thrown it over the fence.
I will follow up.
Thank you.
I was
I know it's not you, just so you know. I'm just a
No,
crotchety old man, I
it's
know.
frustrating because again, it's something you drive by every day and it's been there for 3 months, like you said.
At least. It could be longer. I don't know. I've only been keeping track for 3 months.
About 3 months.
yeah.
Can we invite National Grid to,
We can.
and maybe we could also have a discussion that we're trying to like make our town walkable and handicapped accessible for sidewalks and find out what they need to do to move the poles out of the middle of the sidewalks. Which that was not a town this over here was not a town project.
Yeah,
It was
that happened, I know, when they redid all the poles or whatever. They took land and
but they didn't move the
it was
poles.
piss poor planning that more land wasn't taken so that the poles didn't end up into the middle of the existing sidewalk.
But maybe we just have a conversation with them of how do they help
You
us
know,
to
'cause
move
it's just like,
forward with these
how are you
projects.
supposed to
Yeah.
go around and you're fixing all of these, you're pretending you're trying to do all this stuff for the crosswalks and this and that, but yet you have telephone poles in the middle of your sidewalk. And I'm harping on it because, God bless your dad, I remember the article he wrote when they did that about putting the poles in the middle of the sidewalk, you know?
And unfortunately, it's everywhere. It's not
Oh, yeah.
in one.
It's not.
It's everywhere in
Yeah,
town.
don't,
But if we can have a
not the
conversation
only town.
about how we
Yeah.
move it forward, that
Yeah.
would be great. Okay.
Is the town currently doing the like AARP assessment, the 5-year program
that's,
where you
yeah,
get the grants?
that's what I'm
the
talking about.
grants?
We're going around doing all of that stuff and.
Complete streets is what we're talking about.
Oh, okay, because I knew, because I helped on a committee in Ware with theirs that started way before Palmer, that you do a 2-year assessment, then the town approves, and then AARP, you do theirs for 5 years, and then you're eligible for more grants from them.
I don't know about
Me
AARP grant.
either.
I've never heard
It's
of
done
some.
through the Council on Aging. And my second question is, do we have a rec department at this point?
We have a committee.
We have a committee. We have funding for. We budgeted 30,000 to either work with Munson on a collaborative effort and hire someone. If that doesn't work out, we have the ability to hire someone full time the second half of the year. The 30,000 essentially will operate as a $60,000 salary for the full year.
Okay.
Did you see how much Ludlow's hiring for?
No,
And
I-
they aren't finding anybody. Their salary's like 85,
I did see that it was advertised, yeah.
like twice.
No, we've got, well, I mean, ours went out there twice. We've had it,
Yeah.
it was out there for 6 months and we just didn't get a quality pool.
So like we're sharing with Munson with the animal,
Or not, we got, no.
Possibly, yes.
We have a grant to,
like
we
we're
got,
sharing with Ludlow with veterans?
Correct.
yeah.
Yes.
But we got a grant to investigate shared services for recreation opportunities with Munson.
Okay.
And Council on Aging.
Oh,
So they're reviewing right now the potential merger
Okay.
of those departments and what that may look like. But both communities would have to agree of
What that would look like.
what that would look like exactly. Jen, can you send me more info on the AARP?
Absolutely.
Okay. I know like we were doing a readiness program. I can't think of the woman who came in to present, but it was like an age and dementia friendly
Agent
assessment.
dementia friendly.
Right,
That's
that
what we
wasn't-
were.
that
I
wasn't
thought we were.
anything.
That's
We
We are
Yeah.
certified, right?
yeah. I'm just saying
As a
like that was
community.
what
Yeah.
came forward to
Got it.
us. I don't know if that's. But.
Yeah, it's a 2-part program. The town, you do the 2-year one, get all of the assessments done, AARP approves it, and then they put you like on a 5-year program of all of these tasks you have to do, but then it opens you up for them to,
Grant funding.
for grant money.
I know that we've been working on an ADA self-assessment plan.
That's what I was thinking. That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't
It's a
it wasn't
different
just disability or aged, it was moms with strollers or,
Right.
Right.
everybody,
Right.
all abilities and levels.
So we are on the early stages too of adopting the ADA component of it,
Nice.
because I believe that goes hand in hand. And that also opens up opportunities for grants as well.
Love it.
Okay, miscellaneous correspondence, anybody? Counselors Roundtable, anybody?
You want to explain that real quick?
Oh, good.
The new?
So Counselors Roundtable is, if you want to bring anything up, so if you went to a town event and you want to talk about it, or if you wanted to,
Somebody or,
yeah.
it's pretty
or-
much your time to
Bring
just
up
make.
the-
And also you could use it for if you wanted to see something as a future agenda item, so you could also bring it up at that point in time.
I know Brad mentioned some other committees, the Palmer Cultural definitely needs people. We don't want to lose that money. I mean, the state only gives us about $15,000 a year for it, but a lot of it, some goes to the seniors in the library, but most of it goes to the kids for field trips. So it's really important to keep that up. If anybody, I know we all have extra time, but anybody out in the public wants to do it, that would be great.
Anybody else?
Yeah, good job down at the park there. I didn't make it down there until late, but got to listen to the band. It was really good. And I was wickedly impressed with the nice large beer garden that was developed last minute due to somebody busting your chops about it. That was really nice.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Phil.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that great event and at Hernevitz Park. Glad to see it back there. I think that's a great venue for it. Very visible to a lot of traffic in that area. And I participated in the Pollinator Garden Day through the Conservation Commission recently. That was a lot of fun. And also, I just saw that the school is hosting a 5K for the first time in like
A long
a
time.
long time,
Yeah,
which I'm
since the bunny
as
run.
a runner very excited to
The
be
last one was the bunny run.
very excited to be participating in a.
I've never participated in a 5K, and I don't anticipate to.
You can walk.
You can be a spectator.
can
That's
walk.
a
Hand
very
out
fun.
water.
I joined you.
Hold a sign. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing more details about that. I know it's going to
Plus
be
it's
a
got a
huge
motor under
community
behind it,
planning
don't it?
event because you got to get the police involved and whatnot. So I hope that before they posted all of that, that was my first thought was have they coordinated with the town?
There's a lot to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much.
So much. So because you're closing down roads basically.
Did they have a
Or-
date just for that? Just set up my did it state a date?
There is a date. I think it's like September or October.
Okay, so we have a little time.
Yeah. I guess.
Just wanted to thank the PHCC, the Historical Commission.
Yes.
They put together a great event for the 250th. And then the library also had an event that same day for viewing the 1976 Bicentennial Parade. And they had some other historic documents on display. So thanks to everyone who put that together.
That's Patience, right?
I agree.
Patience, our
Patience,
historical.
yeah.
And
Historical
Helene-
Commission.
And Helene O'Connor at the library, and
Yeah.
Amy
Awesome.
from the library as well.
Yeah, a
and
lot of people
Bob
deserve
Havalis that
Shout outs
Fabulous.
for that. That
Awesome.
was a big
They,
effort
did a
and
lot.
really well attended.
Yeah.
Like
It was a
that's
great afternoon.
especially at the
They-
library.
They,
Very
so
well
at
attended.
PHCC, they read the Palmer Declaration of Independence,
Yes.
which I didn't even realize there was one until right before.
Palmer
that
wrote
event.
theirs before the big one.
Right. So
Wow.
very,
Because we
very
were asked
interesting.
by the state legislature at the time to declare our independence, because that was, Massachusetts kind of led that charge. So the state legislature at the time, or delegation, whatever they were called back then, requested support from the communities to declare independence from England. So Palmer, we existed back then, so we agreed.
That's awesome.
Okay, next is town council reorganization.
All right, so we will start off with, I will take nominations for the chair.
I nominate Barbara for president.
Second.
Ask if there's any other nominations.
Any other nominations? Seeing none.
So,
This is play-by-play here. Single ballot, so we don't have a clerk yet.
so I would say that Jessica can cast the ballot.
Okay.
She just needs a piece of paper.
And maybe a pen.
Here.
No, hold on.
Oh, you're good. That's good.
The chief will be mad if I lost his pen. Got it. Okay. Sorry, just write your name on this.
President.
Okay.
Good, turn it over, back to you.
I think so. Okay, I will open nominations for council vice president, and I will nominate Jessica Ferry.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll close the nominations, and I'll cast that ballot. And then I will open up the nominations for council clerk, and I will nominate Matt Lemieux.
I second.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, I will close the nominations. And
That's it.
that's it? Okay. That's probably what we should rewrite in our council rules. It's a little funky.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole process is kind
Well,
of weird.
especially when there's no sitting clerk, and that's the main
Like roll.
person to
Gotcha.
do that, yeah. Okay. So we are now going to adjourn from our formal session. We're going to go into executive session again. We will not return to open session. We're going into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares for DPW and Administrative Unit UPSEU Local 424M. I so declare. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. This is a roll call. Jan?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Jess? And I vote yes. Okay, good night.